Good evening, everybody.
Yay.
I should be asleep, but it's for a good cause, so I'm here
Perfect.
tonight. It's Kelson from the AM Click. Check me out every weekday morning. My partner JC from 6 to 10 a.m. And then right after I go off, I
Hmm.
bring on the midday mama, Miss Persia
Mhm.
Nicole.
Yes.
Hey,
All right.
Persia.
Hola, hola, of course. Middays of Persia, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And tonight, listen, you will not be the only person glued to your phone or computer because I'll definitely be as well. All right. I have a 7-year-old son. Of course, tonight it is all about
Mhm.
college education, getting the kids ready for their college education. Cam is already ready to go to college. She asked me the other day when he's going. So this mama right here has to save some money. Okay.
Yeah. And I have a 4-year-old. She thinks she's my parent, but
Yes,
I'm definitely looking for ways to, save for college for her as well. So that's why I'm
absolutely.
so excited about doing this virtual tonight about, college saving and stuff like that.
Yes, shout out to our sponsors of the night, the Maryland
Mhm.
Department of Housing and Community Development.
And special thanks to APGFCU. They're
Hmm.
another sponsor for us. So let's go ahead and get the show started, Persia Nicole.
Let's get it started. Can we first talking about how I'm still paying student loans, and I wish I would have done it a lot differently. So
Really?
yeah, so I'll be taking big notes. I can't wait to ask all my questions. Are you done with your student loans?
I only have like $3,000 left,
Okay.
but I'm waiting to see what President Joe Biden and this student loan thing will do before I decide if I
See,
want to pay the rest of it off or.
my mom got a private loan, not a federal. So
Okay.
that's why I'm trying to. You just wait. I already have my questions ready, signed, sealed, and delivered. Can we bring
Yeah.
on the first person of the night?
Yes. Let's bring in our first guest tonight, Dr. Tisa Kennedy. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you all doing tonight?
We're
She's doing
doing good. So
great.
tell us a little about yourself and what it is that you do.
Well, first, I'd like to give a shout out to the University of Delaware and Morgan State University. Go
Hey, Mo.
Bears.
Oh.
Shout out to Baltimore. But
Hey.
I am the founder of an organization called the Maryland Center for Collegiate Financial Wellness. And there we are helping students and their families build financial life skills, empowering them to thrive. That's why I'm so excited to be here with you all tonight so we can reach people, especially in Baltimore City, and talk to them about paying for college and how to prepare for that journey.
Most definitely.
Absolutely. This is going to be good already. I'm excited. Next up, let's bring on Miss Vanessa Jones.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm Vanessa Jones, and I want to give a shout out to Coppin Eagles as well as those Kelson Tigers.
Come on,
Yay! So,
Oh, Vanessa.
I am Vanessa Jones, and I am the lead consultant for E.C.T, which is Educate, Connect, and Transform. We work with families and children and youth to help them start their education pathway, their career pathway, and find scholarships to pay for college.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know what, Vanessa? Normally I'm the only one here from Towson University. So thank you
Yeah.
so much
Yay!
for being with me.
That's cute. That's so cute.
And our next guest for the evening, Mr. Sharif Small.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, I'm a Towson graduate too now. Yeah, right.
Lord.
Proud to
Persia,
you,
don't be
Brad.
mad.
Now, my first year, I did go to I did go to Elizabeth City University, CIAA. So I got to
Okay.
do that too because we had the conference here and things that made the tournament. But then I finished up at Towson University. But good evening, Sharif Small. President CEO of S.J.S financial firm. Real estate tax account. We do tax accounting plus financial planning. So we help businesses get their books known, but we also help families get their personal financial affairs, make their best decisions so they can build generational wealth for their kids and their grandkids. I also have a real estate development company called S.J.S Prop. We own commercial buildings and apartment complexes. In addition to that, we have a nonprofit called Financial Power Movement where we teach kids and community financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and real estate. So thank you for having me.
That's a lot.
Morning.
Awesome.
To you
Yeah.
provide you stuff like that, so you know.
I
So
love it.
just want to remind everybody, if you have a question for one of our guests or for us to ask, make sure you put your questions in the comment section and we'll make sure we answer that question for you.
Absolutely. And you know what? Regardless of what college or university we went to, we all have some great knowledge of what to do when you're going to college, some great preparation, where we can get our money from, some things we did wrong. We wish we would have did a little bit better. So
Yeah.
look, Sharif, okay, hello. I know y'all didn't get some in Kelson, honey. I didn't heard. But it's going to be a phenomenal night. So we're excited. Kel, you want to kick it off with the first question?
Sure. you know, you have different kids watching, or their parents watching, maybe in toddlers or maybe in middle school and high school. When do you think is the best time to start talking about saving for college and everything, having that college tuition talk?
I think as early as possible. I think it's great to talk to your children about college and the cost of college early and often. And if you happen to live near a campus, take them on campus. If they have a project that's due, take them to the on-campus library. Let them get exposed to being on campus so that it becomes like a natural next step for them. It doesn't mean that they have to go to that particular college, but it just reinforces that message that education beyond high school is necessary. And then we can dive into that talk about, well, this is where I want to go. How am I going to finance it?
If I can add to that, unless Vanessa, if you want to go next, I believe ladies go first. If you want to go next.
Okay, well, yes, I'll add to that. And I agree with Dr. Canady. As early as possible is the best time because, you know, children as early as 5 years old, they can win scholarships. And everything adds up. So you want to start talking to them at an early age. And you want to use yourself as an example to help them when looking at different colleges and visiting the campuses and talking to other persons and their experiences when they went to college. So start early.
Great stuff. If I add to that, I'm going to talk not just to the kids, but also to the parents. The parents need to start planning before they even have kids, just to be honest with you. We need to have those conversations. I think that putting money away for like a 529 plan, saving for college, you can actually put money away for your kids before you even have kids, right? Because if you decide that you want to go to grad school or you want to get your doctorate, you can form your own college plan. And then whatever's left over, you can actually transfer that over to your kids and grandkids. So I think when you think of not just college plan, you want to start with that financial plan, that foundation, and start putting those goals in place, your short-term goals, your long-term goals, how much is it going to cost, and then how are you going to save for these costs? Because the more you save, the less you need to borrow.
Sharif, you mentioned one thing. You said a 529 plan. For those who don't know, what is that?
So it's a college saving plan. There's two types, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. You have the prepaid plan, and that is for, you know, you're paying, you know, they say what tomorrow's prices, not today's prices, or today's prices, not tomorrow's price.
Yeah.
But you lock in today's prices for future, you know, tuition. But it only covers tuition, and it's for in-state. That's the prepaid. Then you have the college savings plan where you can actually use that, you know, out of state, but that covers tuition, room and board, books, supplies. Also, you paying for a computer, you know, things of, you know, that nature. There's also some tax implications with that. You can also get a tax deduction when you save for, you know, the saving in these accounts up to $2,500 per account. So say you got 2 or 3 kids, you know, that's $75. That's a tax deduction. Number of tax accounts. I'm always going to look at ways that you can save money on your tax, save for your kids, you know, educate. So I think that's the place to start, but there's other things you can do, but I'll just end with that for right now.
Okay.
Can I add to that as well with the 529 plan? You know, if you start saving when your child is born, if you save $200 per month when your child is born, that adds up to $77,858 by the time your child goes to school. If you can't save $200, save what you can, because by the time your child gets ready to go to college, you know, you'll have that money there. And as Sharif said, if you use the 529, the investment program, you can use it for more than just college tuition.
Okay. So I have a question with that, because some, you know, as parents, we want our children to go to college and be these great doctors and lawyers and financial people. And so you start one of these programs. But what if, you know, they get old, like, you know what, I don't want to go to college. This money that you saved, can you get that back? Or what's that like?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sharif. You're the financial wizard, so I'll let you talk about that and the taxes and everything.
The good thing about it is that you can transfer to anybody in your family, even somebody that's not related to you. You can actually transfer that, you know, to those. So you may have a niece or a nephew or a cousin or even a next door neighbor. But I would say that you know, you want to know your kids. You know, some kids are ready for college. You know, some are not. So it's like you got to think of not just that college plan, you got to think of that career planning, right? You got to think of, what career that they're thinking about doing and exposing. I got my degree in accounting. My dad had his own tax practice, so I worked for my dad in his tax. So I had the idea of what I wanted to do on top of get my own, start my own business. But so you want to kind of have that conversation, with your kids, or kind of understand, where your kids are going to wind up, being at in the 16, 17, 18. On top, you got to think of is their education. It's not yours, right? So they need to be putting in the work, going to college. That's a privilege. That's not a right. That's something you need to earn to, to go to, because your parents got to think of their own retirement, right? They got to save for their, I always say you got to save for your retirement first. Then you got to put money away for college, because they need to be earning that to get those scholarships. They can go to community college. There's other options. You can go into the military. There's other options. You can go back to college later and be able to, get it later. You don't have to go at 18, 19, and 20. Some kids are not mature enough to go to college. I know I wasn't my first year. After my first year, I came back home because I just wasn't really ready to college. But I went there to play ball, and I came. And I have a twin brother. My twin we both went to college at the same time. My dad was a single dad, raising me and my twin brother in Park Heights. So, it was a lot on him. And my dad, lived middle class, but that doesn't mean anything when you got two kids, you trying to put the college at the same time. And the middle class get hit, the most. So it's like, you got to have the understanding, with your kids, and understand, which kids you think be ready for now, and have that conversation, which ones should go later, and they can decide to work, and they can kind of go back later. And a lot of times when they turn 24, they become an independent student, which means that you can't use your kids' income and assets. I mean, your parents' income and assets, because your parents may have some assets that could qualify you from getting certain type of financial aid. So those left is, so you got to plan early in life. And then as you're going through the different stages, decide what is the best route to take as you get to college, if they're ready for college now, or they get to ready for college later. But either way, do not take out any student loan debt at all. If we could do it over again, stay away. That is the devil. That's what I say.
Sharif, you are so correct.
Right. And I'm happy you mentioned these scholarships. I want to shout out APGFCU because they put together like a collection of scholarship details and resources to help you get to school, which is huge help because, searching for scholarship opportunities can be more tedious, part of the college planning because there's so many different scholarships and, can get overwhelming. It's great because we have different options, but there's so many that you don't know what options actually goes to you. So what would you say is one of the best tips to make an easier process in addition to APGFCU? Is it to focus more local or like more regional scholarships? What would you say? You want to start at the top and kind of make our way to the bottom? So I think everybody can kind of, focus on this.
Absolutely. I wanted to give a shout out to Maryland 529 because there's a state program called the Save for College program, which allows people to make deposits into an investment plan, and the state can match that deposit. And for the families that are in the lowest income bracket, they can put up a deposit of $25 and the state will match that at $500. So there is nowhere else that I know of where you're going to take $25 and turn it into $500 in a matter of months. I'd encourage people to definitely visit Maryland 529. Also, that's not the only resources available for the state. There's also the Maryland Higher Education Commission. I encourage every family when their child is college ready to go there and create an MD-CAPS account because that's the only way that you're going to get the money if the state decides to give you some. But look to the state, look to the federal government, of course, completing that FAFSA, and also be on the prowl for lists like the ones that come from APGFCU, social media, look up hashtags. You would be so surprised at the number of companies that are out there looking for anybody to give this money to as long as they are enrolled in higher education. But the moral of all of this is to cast a wide net and do not neglect state resources.
I agree totally. Cast a wide net. And, it's amazing. I'm sure a lot of people may not get paper mail, like from your credit union. If you're a member of a credit union, they send you a statement every month. They have those extra papers in there. Some of those papers have scholarship opportunities. We tend to toss them away, but look in those papers because some of the credit unions offer scholarships and they don't have persons applying because we toss the paper away. We don't look at it. So you want to cast a wide net. And some places your child may be able to get a full ride scholarship. Our goddaughter, she got a full ride scholarship to Morgan. She graduated with no debt, and I was amazed. Like, you know, and we want, but the thing is, we have to educate ourselves about what's available, and we have to do the research and reach out to those organizations or individuals that can help, because the help is out there.
Amen to that. And if I can piggyback on that, so when I went to Towson, I actually formed a NABA student chapter, was National Association of Black Accountants. So we offer scholarships, right? So we offer national, we offer regional, and we offer local scholarships. So you got to think of, number one, I always get it back to what career they thinking about getting into. Look at professional community organizations. A lot of times professional organizations, because you can join as a student member, you may pay $20, but in return, I applied for $1,000 of scholarships and I got them. And then on top of that, I had a 3.0. So I was able to apply for a lot of, scholarships there because of my grade point on average. And then they had a diversity and inclusion scholarship as well at Towson. So I just searched and I hustled, look for scholarships because I didn't want my dad continue to keep on taking out, student loans. I just didn't want him to do that, to keep on, doing that. So I think there's a lot of different ways that you can look for, scholars, but you got to understand what career fields that are going and then decide what organization that you can actually be a part of. Because it's not the scholarships, but we got to think of internships.
Yes.
People that's going to, give you a reference, right?
Experience.
For a year, when you apply for, try to get a job and everything, you're going to need references and everything, and you're going to need the mentor. Right. So it's I would say it's good to take the holistic approach and that community approach when you come into, looking for scholarships and getting out there and not just getting a job. I would say looking into getting a career. So I would say you want to look at a lot of professional community, a lot of jobs, giving out scholarships now too. So there's a lot of scholarships. I know when I went to college, there was something called an OSHA reentry scholarship because I stopped a couple of years later, and then I started back, and Tulsa actually sent me a scholarship for a reentry scholarship. So there's a lot of scholarships for like a lot of different things you wouldn't even, think of. It may be a scholarship for badminton and you do well in badminton, but you can take the sports management or something. So you gotta, look out there and look for different, and just make sure the scholarships that you're looking for, that they are credible too, because sometimes they have application fees and things of nature. Just check the source, because some scholarships are scams. So be careful with that.
So one question I have, because sometimes they say go to a community college first, then transfer to a four-year university. Financially speaking, do you see that to be less expensive than going straight to a four-year institution?
Kelson, it's funny you asked that question. I asked my oldest son what information would he provide during a session like this, and he went to Johnson and Wales University for culinary. And one of the things that he said, I would tell people to think about attending a community college first and then transfer in to your four-year college, whatever that dream college is that you want to go to, because that will help you save some money when you transfer in, because the community college here, the cost is not very high. And I believe they still have the program where you may be able to go for free to the community college. So that's an option. And he also said, think about a tech school, it depending on the career that you wanted to go into, so as someone said earlier, college may not be the choice for everybody, but there is an opportunity and availability for everybody to have a successful career. You just have to plan for it. But community college is a great option. I went to community college before I transferred in because I didn't know what I wanted to do at 18. And my mother said, you're going to college or you're going to work. Which one?
But you're getting out of this house.
So, and I went to community college, and I'm glad I went.
Okay.
I love
wherever
that.
you go. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to say, wherever you go, community college for a year, be nice to your financial aid counselor, because they are also a potential other source of scholarships. And I used to work in financial aid, so I got all those phone calls. Where's my money? When are y'all going to give me my money? When's the next disbursement coming? And I understand, I get it. But if you can make an impression on your financial aid counselor that can be separated from calling to ask where your money is, I promise you they will remember you for a good reason. And if some spare pot of money comes up, then they might just say, hey, I have these couple of students that I remember reached out, could use some extra help, and were nice, then you might find yourself receiving some kind of scholarship.
Right. And for our 11th and 12th graders, it's important that you stay connected with your school counselor because he or she is a wealth of knowledge, and they may have connections to organizations who are looking to give scholarships as well. So it's very important that we teach our children to advocate for themselves, let them know that they're responsible for paying for college as much as we are, and that they have to make those connections with people.
Good stuff. And if I can add on, I think the key thing is, when it comes to, we got to talk about the career side. You got to think of where's the career shortage at too. So think of doctors, think of nurses, like they have forgivable, programs. If you do want out taking out some student loan debt, and you work in low income areas, I think you've been a teacher.
Educators, yes.
Educators. The shortage right now. Ooh.
Yeah, and it'll be forgivable within. I think they need to be paid more, but I digress.
Right.
Yes,
we all agree.
But not just, college as well. I'm in real estate, so we have shortage of plumbers, electrical, HVAC. We're working on an apprenticeship program with some schools where we try to expose young people into plumbing, electrical, HVAC, getting a trade, because education doesn't not hold to be going to college. Education just never stops. No matter where you go, you can learn on the job as well too. So we gotta make sure we expose our kids not just to going to college, but just different career fields where they can make real good money. Start their own business. We talked about starting their own business, getting their own MBE, not just doing residential, but doing commercial. And then they can start hiring people. So we got to think about not just getting our kids and to think about, going to college and getting a good job. But for me, I had my own business for 17 years. I wanted to create jobs. I not just want to have one. Not only I wanted to create jobs, I wanted to create generational wealth. So for me, to do that, I had to own it. Now, I did have to work first and work for other people to get the experience and go. So when I went to community college after my first year because I just wasn't ready. I went to play ball, just didn't happen, was lazy, didn't do my work. I was the batch when that's put it out there. So, came back home, worked full time with school part time because I knew I needed it, but I just wasn't fully ready. I hated school, but I knew I needed it because I just felt like there was a purpose for me. So I went to school, worked full time, bought a house, bought a couple properties, got into real estate, and then, worked for my dad in his tax practice. Then I bought out my dad's tax practice, and then I decided to go back to finish up and got my degree in accounting at Towson, University. So I highly recommend. I love going to the community college at CCBC or BCCC. I got a good education then, and a lot of those credits. Just make sure all of those credits transfer over. That's the key thing, because sometimes you may have one or two credits. Again, I like that part, but it is what it is. Talk to the guys. So make sure you have that conversation first. What school you want to go to, and then what program that you want to, you want to take.
Sharif, you hit on when you said about plumbers, electricians, builders, carpenters, and those are some of the careers that we don't share with our children, our youth. We talk about football, we talk about baseball, basketball, but everybody is not going to make the team. They're not going to be able to make the team.
Even if they do, you only got 3 or 4 years,
Right. So what's your backup plan? And then also, what are those careers behind the athletes? The physical therapists, the lighting and different things. Like, what are those careers that they depend upon? So we want to talk to our children and youth about those careers as well. And one of the things, the Maryland Educational Opportunity Center, they provide resources and apprenticeship programs and different things for young people. And that's an option, right, for those 11th and 12th graders. If they're not going to college, there are other opportunities for them to participate in apprenticeship programs to become an electrician, a plumber. we're going to need plumbers.
We all need a plumber.
I need one like yesterday, as always. I got
Me too.
Yeah, I own a pump.
I have a good one if y'all need them.
You want to send them over.
Yeah,
if you're just tuning in, it is all about how to save and prepare for your child's college education. Ask all the questions you want to ask. Put it up there. We'll hop it on the front of the screen and get it answered. If you just want to get a preach or something like that, it's whatever it is. Show lots of love. We got you for that. I want to talk about how the academic and social and emotional stress of college can take a super toll on kids, right? In fact, I saw an article that says 30% of college freshmen will drop out in their first year. Because it's a lot. It's something it's foreign to them. They might be in a new city or around different people. It's the first time they're by themselves, and it's a shock. How can you prepare parents for the kids mentally for something like this? I know, Vanessa, you probably have tons of conversations with families. Let's talk a little bit about that.
So one of the things that we recommend is that parents understand their feelings and their emotions that they're going through when they separate from their child, because I went through that when my son went away to college. I had breakdown pretty much, but we have to understand our feelings, but also talk to our children about what's going to happen. You're going to be away at campus. I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be able to help you. You need to wash your clothes. You need to be able to have conversations and have conflict resolution with your roommates. We have to set our children up and prepare them for what the real world is going to be. We want to cuddle and provide and take care, and that's good because we should, but we also have to have them emotionally prepared and mentally prepared for that transition. And Dr. Canady said, when we take them to go visit colleges and they could talk to persons who are already there, partner them with a student that's already in college so that they can begin to understand that experience. How was it when you first went away? I think having those conversations with them is a great idea. And then your child. If your child is not socially right now in high school, maybe going away to a big university is not what they need at that time. Yeah. Maybe you need to look at something more local, something closer to home, so that they can develop those skills. But, we as parents, we try to live through our children sometimes, and that's not beneficial to them. So we know our children. I hope we know our children, and we don't want to set them up for failure. But we want to give them all of those experiences and make sure that we create a safe place for them to talk about what it is that they feel, what it is that they're going through. Because you might want them to go to University of Maryland College Park, but they have no desire. Yeah. So let's have those conversations.
Yep, I agree.
So going back financial, I had a question starting with you, Dr. Canady. How you mentioned you was working the financial aid office and everything. And then every year, I know I did anyway, going to Towson, I look forward to my refund at the end of the year,
Give me my money.
Yeah. Would you recommend blowing on something you want to do or using that money to go to help pay off your student loan?
I would absolutely, I would pay off student loans. But when you think about paying off student loans, it's important to think about it from a strategic perspective. Because if you have a small amount of debt, then I'm all for just, paying it off if you're not trying to be in it for the long run, or if you're not eligible for one of the forgiveness programs. But if you're like many of the people that I work with that have like 6-figure student loan debt, maybe paying it off the fast way is not the most healthy way for you. So I would look at all avenues that are available for forgiveness or for cancellation. Public service loan forgiveness is a popular program right now, but that requires a minimum commitment of 10 years of work and repayment history before you can be eligible for that program. The relief that came out that was announced on August 24th is a bit different, though. And that's where the questions are coming from now, from people who want to know, am I going to get the 10,000 or am I going to get the 20,000 or am I going to get anything? And the short version of that, is that if you are single and your adjusted gross income for 2020 or 2021 was under $125,000, if you're married or you file head of household and your joint income is under $250,000 for that same period, then you could be eligible for up to $20,000 worth of loan cancellation. This is not like a cash, a check that's going to be cut to everyone. It's going to be that your debt will get reduced. And the difference between a person who can get 10 or 20,000 is a Pell Grant. So I know I digressed a little bit, but I know everybody wants to know, am I getting the 10 or the 20? Which is it going to be? So if you have federal student loans, you want to log into studentaid.gov. And when you get to the My Aid screen, you'll see two things. If you have loans, there will be a blue circle there that says loans. If you have received a Pell Grant, you'll see a green circle that says Pell Grant. If you have the Pell Grant there and your income is under those caps, then you could be eligible up to $20,000 worth of relief. If you don't have a Pell Grant, then you'd be eligible for up to $10,000 worth of relief. And that's one more thing that applies to loans that were dispersed before June 30th of 2022. So everything prior to that point that's visible on studentaid.gov could be fair game.
What about the ones? Okay, so my mom did the private student loan for me instead of the federal. I know, Sharif. Okay, all right. So am I gonna get any help or not?
So right now with private loans, the answer is no. However, I would caution some people, because some people have loans that might appear to be private, but are actually federal, because there was a time when the federal government was basically issuing loans with private banks. So there's some people who actually come and say to me, I have a private loan. And I said, well, let's go on studentaid.gov just to verify. And we look in there and we see a loan. Now it looks like a private loan because it has a bank or another private servicer's name attached to it. But if it's visible within studentaid.gov, then technically it's a federal student loan. So first thing is, know if your loan is truly federal or private. I think you sound like you know that loan is private.
I'm going to go on studentaid.com right now. But I do think I think it's private though. I'm like, yes, all right, come on. But that's something that we now know for our kids to not do. And I know also, like they said, the interest rates are a lot more when it comes to the private student loans versus the federal student loans. So it's so many different things that factor in. And, if I could do it all over again, which of course I will with my son, I will definitely do the federal way instead of the private. And you could all agree that that's the better way to go, right?
Yeah, and if I can add on top of that, in those private loans, they're adjustable rates as well too. So the rates are high right now.
Right now, yes.
Like a payment. So yeah, you got to be mindful. That's why I say the best way to get out of that is to really not to get into it as much as possible. One of the things I wanted to add on top of that, I know that when people do graduate and one of the first step of building wealth, people are looking to buy their own home. There are some Maryland program called the Smart Buy Initiative where they can eliminate up to $50,000 student loan debt. The only issue is there's some income limitations when it comes to it. So the middle class it may not fit the middle class and not even the high class, but it may help more of the lower middle income area. But there is some way they can limit up to 50,000. But it goes by HUD, requirements for your income level. So there are some programs out there. If you do buy a house, they can kind of help you with, your student loan. That one of the things I always recommend for people to do is, if you do have a kid that's, out of state and, they're living on campus maybe the first 2 years, and then by the junior year, they're looking to live off campus. One of the things we want them doing is, you can actually buy an apartment complex up there as opposed to renting. You can buy up to a 4-unit FHA. You and your parent can be a non-occupied owner, and then you can be an occupied owner. Hopefully by junior year you're working, so you got W-2 income coming in, and then you can use your parents' income on top of that. So now you're buying cash flow. So with multi-units, you can rent out other units and live in the live in one of the units. And you only got to put down 3.5% down, and they may qualify for some down payment assistance. So we teach a lot about parents to do that. So now that's continuing cash flow even when your kid is graduating, and it appreciates in value, and then bringing in cash. Just don't rent out to freshman or sophomore. Disclaimer, right? You want to rent out to maybe juniors, seniors, graduate students,
right?
Students. Like we've done stuff like that, so because you don't want your kid to be a frat house. We love that from it's a mindset. It teaches kids how build generational.
Mhm.
Now we're seeing not just how to make money, because a lot of times you go to college to make money, but when you start your own business, you got to learn how to make your money work for you. There's a difference, right? All right.
That's
So
right.
when we teach about real estate and how to own stuff, you know, it can appreciate and it can bring in, you know, passive income. So I think that some of them, they can kind of think of stuff like that, you know, because they'll have some W-2 income, try to get an internship, you know, early, and then also they can add the cash flow from the other units into your debt to income ratio, so you can actually qualify for that mortgage. So I just try to think of different strategies, because you get tax deductions and things of that nature, and you can actually continue buying more than one property every, you know, couple of years. So just different ways that, you know, we can kind of soften the burden, and it can be additional cash flow. And then now we're building a generational wealth, because I'm focused more on building generational wealth in addition to adding that college plan on top of that.
Now, we're not encouraging everyone to go visit Uncle Clifford down there at the Pink, but are there some other non-traditional, you know, ways of financing your college education?
I got another way,
Okay.
but it seemed like Vanessa, you about to say something, so go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, we touched on a couple of things about attending a community college first versus and then transfer in. That could save money. Consider attending a tech school, and then also internships, work study. A lot of programs offer work study, you know, and if you do have to take out a loan, only borrow what you need. I know when I was in school, you know, I was at the financial aid office waiting for my refund check. If I knew what I know now, I would have left that refund check at school. But you know, only borrow what you need, and then also it's so many scholarships out here, and if you don't apply, then you won't win. You have to apply, and don't think, oh, I'm not going to get that one. No, apply for everything that you are eligible to apply for. All they can say is yes or no, but you want to make sure that you set yourself apart as well. What other things are you doing versus, you know, you have the 3.0, do you participate in any clubs at school? Are you taking on any leadership opportunities? Are you volunteering with the American Red Cross? Did you start the car wash at your church? Did you lead that car wash that was to benefit, you know, the scholarship committee? What things are we exposing our youth to help them build their resume so that when they apply to these scholarships, they can set themselves apart from everybody else? So those are the things, you know, is non-traditional ways. Just research those scholarships. The money is there. It's waiting for us.
Yeah, shout out to Gabby Morris. A great conversation.
If I can add on top of that, because I work with a lot of small businesses, and one of the things that we're doing is, a lot of people know, is, you know, you got to think of, a lot of times when you're forming a business, you're not just forming it for yourself. A lot of times you're leaving that business for your kids or your grandkids. And one of the things a lot of people don't do is, you should think about hiring your kids in your business, right? And what people don't know is, people think that age 14 is the earliest you can hire your kids in your own business, and that's not true. And I'm talking about your own kids, not somebody else's. Somebody else's kids is 14 because they need a work permit. But for your own kids that are related to you, your kids and your grandkids, age 7 is the earliest you can hire your kids in your own business. And why you want to do that? Because instead of paying them allowances, you can pay them wages. Number one, it's tax deductible to your business, so you get a tax deduction. Number two, you can pay them up to $12,000 for each kid, right? Put them on payroll. You don't have to hold any federal, no state, no social care, Medicare tax, because you pay them up to the standard deduction. You can take $12,000 out of that payroll that you pay your kids, put $6,000 in a Roth IRA, and then now that money's working for you, right? Because it's cash flow, because it's bringing in compound interest being invested. Working for when they get to age 18, now you got money for college. If they don't go to college, now they got money for down payment on the house, or they can use the money for both, right? So there are ways that you can build wealth with your kids, with teaching them about, you know, savings and investing, and mutual funds and things. Now they're learning about mutual funds, stocks, and bonds. Because now we're exposing our kids about financial literacy, which unfortunately we don't teach our kids in schools.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they don't learn about budgeting, credit, saving. They don't learn about this stuff. But the earlier that you can get your kids exposed to this stuff, get them working in your business, they learn how business work, they learn how money work, they learn how cash flow work, compounding interest. It will expose your kids to think differently when they come to college, and also they won't be wasting money when they go to college as well. Because now they see where money comes from. It don't come from trees. It comes from work.
I still think so. I still think so.
I wish you did.
And things of that nature, because now they would know the true value of a dollar because they worked it and they earned it. So I teach a lot of small business how they can use that business to build wealth for their kids and set them up, for the next generations to come. We got to think generationally when we're setting our kids up the right way and what we expose them. I grew up in Park Heights, so I was exposed to drugs and the crime. My dad did real estate. My dad is on tax practice. My aunt owned her own ceramic shop, but not only did she own the ceramic shop, she owned the building of the ceramic shop, if that makes sense. So I worked for my aunt. Me and my twin at age 7, answering phones, things of that nature. So, when I started my own business and then I wanted to move it out of my home office, I bought my own office. I own my own office building on 25th Street. I own it. I own a mixed use, probably why I rent out the apartment upstairs. And then I had my office on the first floor. Now, if I wasn't exposed to that, I wouldn't be in a position to be able to do that. So we got to make sure we're exposing our kids to building generational wealth the right way. And they got to learn that the ways that, to make things work, they have to have ownership. We got to make sure that we're exposing things, the right way.
That's so true. Sure.
I just wanted to say my son is 7, so as soon as this is done, I'm about to sign him up.
I knew it. I knew it was coming.
That broom.
When he said 7, I was like, okay.
Poor Cam. Poor Cam had to be working.
I'm gonna pay him though. I'm gonna pay him.
I was going to say that is so true, Sharif. We have to teach our young children about ownership and the responsibility of money, because we tend to, when you get paid on Friday or whenever it is, Wednesday or whatever, we want to go out. We want to go buy something new. We don't talk to them about, okay, well, let's put $25 away. I remember when my mom was, when I was younger, my mother would always say, oh, I have to put away for a rainy day. And I'm like, well, it's raining right now. Let's go to the mall. Let's go shopping. But the discipline that she had, it taught me of what I need to do as a parent. And even though I didn't listen all the time, but it taught me that discipline. And, one of the things that I do now for our second goddaughter and our grandchild is, on those special days, instead of buying the toy or buying the tennis shoes, we put something in their 529 plan. That's what we do. And, I'll give them a book because they need to read, and we put something in their 529 plan because you don't need anything. And I think we need to start teaching our children that and showing them about the budget and how much it takes, how much it costs to run this household. It's not free. The money is not on the tree. So those are the things that we have to teach our children because they're not teaching them in school. Financial literacy is not a part of the school curriculum. So we need to teach that in the home. And if we don't know it, then we need to learn. We need to reach out to those resources. Sharif is a good resource. Reach out to those resources and get that education. So we need to talk to our children about the importance of education as well as the importance of money.
One thing I'm seeing as the theme of tonight's episode is research. Like the money and information out there, you just got to do the research. So that's why I'm glad that this is all coming out tonight.
Absolutely.
It's true. Research, planning, and organization. You have to be organized to really, especially with scholarships. You have scholarships that come out in the fall, the winter, the spring, and you have to know when to submit them in, because some scholarships, like the Coca-Cola scholarship, once they reach their amount of applications that they're going to take, they cut it off. And you didn't get yours in? Oh, wow. So you have to be on point with your organization and having your schedule together so that you can apply to the scholarships and make sure that you're familiar with the application. The information is there.
I have two things I wanted to add to that.
I can add on top of that. We also have the College Bound Foundation. Is anybody? They have a lot of good information because there are times where you can take college credit courses while you're in high school.
Yes.
Like they have the CLEP program, right? So they have, if your kid is advanced, they can take certain college. I remember I was in one class I had in community college. There was a high school kid that was in there. It was taking classes, and I mean that person graduated not only from high school, but they graduated, I think, about with like 60 credits. I think they got an associate's degree when they graduated from high school at the same time.
Wow.
It's a lot more, affordable. Now, I think she was like rock star, but I think a lot of times it depends on what foundation you set for your kids and gone through the process where you can actually, do stuff like that. I think also on top of that, life skills, mentorship, I think it's very important. Key. There's a lot of resources that out there. And one thing, if I can say this, we talk about the 529 plan, the holiday season's coming up. Unfortunately, I see too many people focus on buying gifts and buying this and buying that. It's called Black Friday for a reason because they want us to be spending our money as opposed to saving. I have a devil advocate when it comes to holidays. Yes, I love the holidays, spend time with family, but I don't buy I don't buy gifts for anybody. I don't. I just don't do that. I put money in the 529 plan for my nieces and nephews. That's what I do. If there's something that they need, I do that. But I don't buy gifts. I told my wife that when I met her, I don't look for a gift. I'll give you the world. I'll get a house built for you. Which I did. I got for you. But I'm sorry, I don't do do that because again, it's Christ's birthday, not yours. So you shouldn't be looking. Let's be real. So and then when it comes to January comes, everybody's hitting me up. They want to get into the gym, to get off them pounds, and they want to get rid of all this debt. Trying to get that plan in January. No, let's just do it now and they're doing it on a daily basis. So it's a mindset thing, right? We think backwards when it comes to stuff like that. And then we want to use credit cards and then pay the lowest amount, and then we're paying more than we should. And then another thing when it comes to college credit for kids, we gotta be careful with because when they get to age 18, they'll get bombarded with all these credit card offers and things and I know nothing about credit. One thing is my dad went on doing, he added me as an authorized user when I was younger, and he monitored that credit. And then when they got to age 18, he taught me how to use credit and not to use it. With the leverage, to pay it off by statement date, not due date. I had a secure credit card, which means I can only spend the amount that I put on there with a credit union. So we got to make sure that these kids need to stay away from all these credit card offers. And if we want to help build that credit, get a secure credit card, which means you put $100, $75, $200. That's the amount you can spend. You can't go above that. And then now we learn as kids we learn a discipline or how to leverage a kid to build that credit. Because now we're setting you now to be able to buy that house. Yeah, you want to buy that car, I get it, but stay home as much as you can and buy equity, right? Because cars go down in value, houses go up in value. Overall, they go up in value. So we got to make sure we have these conversations with our kids as well. Because in the day, I see too many kids living paycheck to paycheck. They get in an entry position, and once they get out, they can't afford this, they can't afford that, and we're not setting them up the right way. So we got to make sure we set our kids up, the right way.
We are building generational wealth. Big shout out to our sponsors again of the night because this conversation has been amazing. Without them, it would not be happening. Maryland Housing and Community Development along with APGFCU. Can we talk about credit score really quick? Because, a lot of people might think they have to have a certain credit score to get a student loan. So let's talk about what credit scores, if they have to have a certain one, whatever that process might be. Dr. Kennedy, do you want to start?
Sure. With financial aid, there is no check on the credit scores. There's only one type of loan offered by the federal government that does any semblance of a credit check, and that's a Grad Plus loan. And those are available to graduate students, and parents are also subject to having their credit explored as well. But it's not the traditional test, such as looking at a score. So it's not like if you have a low score, you'll get denied. They're looking for big ticket items like foreclosures, thousands of dollars in unpaid medical bills, significant financial events that can cause you to get denied for that. I did want to circle back, though, to the scholarship discussion very quickly, though, just to say one thing. For people that are applying for scholarships, this is a lesson that we need to teach our children. Follow directions. If the application says 500 words, I would use every one of those 500 words, but don't send 500 too just because. Just, follow directions. Get it in by the deadline. Do what people said, because if you're expecting somebody else to give you their money, you need to follow their instructions.
Absolutely, I agree.
If I can add it on top of that, then I think that was great information. You gotta realize these colleges, they're looking for future good alumni. That's what they're looking for. And I think
exactly
the headline was they look for someone that's round right. Yeah, the 3-point, I think it's great, but if you're part of this honor society, you're part of this community, you volunteer here, you're part of this, they look for future stars. And when they see that, they actually willing to give out, more money, as well. I've seen where I have clients where they got more money from one university to another university because it was a private school and they had more money to give out than the public school, right? Because a lot of times you don't want to look at the cost of that college. You want to look at how much they're going to give you.
Right. Exactly.
Financial aid package. Like what like what scholarship you going to get? Because sometimes I've seen people want to be cheaper going to this, Ivy League school because they gave more money because they had more money to give, right? So you got to think to me, it was between Towson and Morgan, and both great schools, but Towson gave me a scholarship. They gave me money. And,
right.
Money
talks. Sharif, you could have got a scholarship from Morgan.
Sharif, go ahead. Continue, Sharif. Go ahead.
No dog in the national treasure now.
They missed the. I'm sorry, but I say that I did say they both great schools, though, right? I just say they didn't give me the money, so I went to with the Towson. They gave me money on top of money, but I know that engineering. You understand, engineering is where it's at for Morgan, right? So again, you gotta think of what the colleges, what are they really known for? For me, Towson, it was most so business, accounting, that a financial planning program, they council, which is all line up. So again, you gotta decide what trajectory you're gonna go. It depends on what career field, and then number one, number two, how much money you're gonna give you. The three, then you decide where you're gonna go at.
Sharif, you hit. Oh, I'm sorry, Kelson.
Go ahead, Vanessa. Go ahead.
Sharif, you hit a good point about the financial aid, what they're offering, because some children, they might have their top 3 schools, and that third school may be offering more scholarships than what school number 1 and number 2 is, and that's a discussion between parents and their child. Like, well, wait a minute, this school is giving you X amount of money, and this school is giving you this amount. I know this is your dream school. However, this school right here is going to help us reach our financial goals, because it's not just about you, it's also about the family and being able to support your education. So sometimes you have to have those hard conversations with children around the school that they need to, around picking the right school, because the finances may look different. And, whereas Morgan didn't offer what Towson offered. And, we need to make sure that we have the finances that's going to back your education. So you're going to go to Towson, and, we appreciate Morgan, but we're going to go to Towson because the money looks better.
And speaking of finance, Dr. Canady, on, I believe it's this Thursday, August 29th, September 29th, excuse me, I'm going all over the place, but September 29th, you guys will have another financial forum going on. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so APGFCU is sponsoring an event that's going to talk about the FAFSA, how to apply for financial aid, and they're also going to feature experts from Hartford Community College. So I encourage everyone who's interested in knowing more about how to pay for college and how to apply for federal funding and state funding to please visit their website and learn more about that event.
And what's that website once again, Dr. Canady?
APGFCU.com, I believe.
Okay.
It might be a .org. I'm sorry.
I'm actually hosting an event this Saturday at the Roger F. Lewis Museum. It's called the Generational Wealth Diversity Summit. It's a free event where we have people on the panel. We talk about building generational wealth for our kids. So we talk about reducing poverty, whether it's education, political, incarceration, unemployment, but also going to talk about how do we build wealth assets with home ownership, real estate, investing. So it's a free event. Starts at 10 o'clock. Generational Wealth Diversity Summit at the Roger F. Lewis Museum. And if you don't know Roger F. Lewis' story, he was the wealthiest black man in the U.S. in the 1980s. Before he passed away. So we kind of stand on his shoulders to continue to keep on have these, conversations, because now our net worth is at negative, is at zero. A lot of times because of lack of education and information resources. So it's a free event. It's on Eventbrite. You can sign up, register to come. Just come be financially empowered. We're going to continue these type of conversations. Again, it's called Generational Wealth Diversity Summit, October the 1st, this Saturday at the museum.
We have so many different events. Before we have about like 5 minutes left. Before we wrap things up, though, I have to ask this question. I told my neighbor I would. Her daughter is on the way to college right now, and she was thinking about taking out a home equity loan to pay for some type of college, right? All right, Sharif, she is watching. Sharif, you don't laugh at her. She's watching right now, okay? I told her I would ask. And, okay, is this a smart thing to take out? I know, Vanessa. What, y'all? I said I asked. Okay, is it a
no
smart
judgment
thing?
here? There is no judgment.
No judgment. No judgment. No judgment.
Should she take out her home equity loan to pay for some parts of college? Whomever would like to go first.
No, double no. Maybe to buy an apartment complex, maybe for the down payment, because then that's bringing in cash flow. If you're going to, be at a university and you need a place to stay, but just to pay for that, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. I don't recommend that as well. I mean, Sharif is the financial expert, but if you're going to take equity out of your home, I would not use that to pay for college, because there are other ways that you can pay for college, and your child, that his or her life expectancy is a lot more than yours. You need to be focusing on retirement. You need all of your money to focus on your retirement. So your child may need to take out a loan or look at other scholarships that's out there to pay for college, or go to the community college and then transfer in to that 4-year university.
I can say, you in the military. The military got educational benefits as well. I teach on military bases, and they have a lot of educational benefits where they will, give you money, for the, Pell Grant post 9/11. So I would recommend, I had a, good amount of my students want up, going into basic training, then they want to going into the reserves, going back to work, but then now they got VA benefits for college, for buying a house. So then, don't sleep on the military. I highly recommend people should think about that as well. But if you can stay away from debt as much as possible, do this. Stay away from this as much as possible. That's all I can say.
All right, no.
To that parent, I just wanted to say, I can appreciate the desire to be as creative as possible in helping your child succeed. So I recognize where her heart is, and that's why I said there is no judgment. We're all just trying to figure out how to pay for something that shouldn't be as expensive as it is.
Right. Exactly.
Given that, I agree with Sharif and Vanessa. I would not advise against, pulling equity out of the home to finance college, and just maybe talk to your child about revising that decision to make sure it's one that's feasible for everyone, because the child's success is important too, but the parent has to make sure that they're covered as well.
Amen.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. All right. So we're just about wrapping up. Let's say some last minute closing remarks, some websites and resources you can give to us. Of course, we've learned today it's all about the scholarships. Let's get out there and get all the scholarships we could possibly give. Research. Just get out there and know what college you want to go to, what states. Dr. Kennedy, you want to talk just like last minute resources and websites?
Sure. Studentaid.gov. This is the place where you would go to access the FAFSA, to access information on student loan relief, everything that you could ever need from the federal government in terms of higher education financing is right there on studentaid.gov. It's not studentaid.com. It will never charge you. It's all free, studentaid.gov. And it's really important for people who are in this pipeline who want to be in school next year to complete the FAFSA, and that becomes available on October 1st. So put an alert in your phone, fill that thing out, try to make sure that you do it error-free the first time around, because the smoother it goes in, the more smooth your financial aid process will be once you have decided on a school to attend. So again, studentaid.gov.
Sidebar real quick. We talked about financial aid for college. What about financial aid for private schools, like for elementary and middle school? Is it the same process?
So there's no FAFSA for them, but believe it or not, there are some private schools that work with some of the servicers that service federal student loans, and they do have financial aid that might be available. So I would go to the school to ask them for their sources of financial aid and find out about how to apply there. But the FAFSA is something that's for higher education only.
Okay.
And I would also say check out for those elementary, middle, and high schools, check out the Maryland State Department of Education's website. They may have some programming or grants available to some of the private schools for your children. And I think it's also the BEST program in Baltimore Education Scholarship Trust, I believe is what it's called. You can also look into that program as well. And one of the resources that we use to help persons with scholarships is the scholarshipworkshop.com. It's by Marianne Reagans. She created this website, and she has a couple of books. She received $400,000 in scholarships for her education, and she's teaching families how to find scholarships for their children and how to get prepared for the scholarship process. So that's a great website, a resource for families.
And Sharif.
Yeah, real quick, saveforcollege.com. Because it has a lot of good information and resources and ways to save for college. I mentioned College Bound Foundation, the 529 plan, and also professional organizations that I've been a part of, am a part of. You have Quad Aid, the Association of African American Financial Advisors. I think it's good to get an advisor that can guide you through this whole project, because it's not just college plan, it's life planning and life skills. And then also the Financial Planning Association of Maryland. I highly recommend you seek some, professional help.
All right. Thank y'all so much for everything. It has been phenomenal. Just like Mia said, thank you so much. The conversation is much needed. Again, thank you to our sponsors, Maryland Department of Housing, Community Development, along with APGFCU. Definitely utilize them as well. So many different resources there. And Kels?
Thank you. Research.
That's right. Research, plan, organize.
Absolutely. Thank y'all. Have an amazing night. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Kels is up first.
I'm sleepy now. Yes.
He ready to go to bed. He's 6 to 10. I'm 10 to 3 Monday through Friday. We appreciate you guys. Always showing lots of love. And we do it for our community every single day.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Y'all keep on doing stuff like this. This is great. Keep the conversation.
This is awesome. Yes. Much needed in the community.
I'll come back anytime. Anytime I come back.
Yes.
Generational wealth. Let's build it.
Yes.
Y'all have a great night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.